People are thinking about when they have that problem, where they feel that twinge, or something's just not right in the back. So whether it be in the gym, whether it be out of the gym, the reason why they're experiencing such discomfort, such pain, debilitating pain, I've been there, I know it, is because they just can't manage their pelvis. Too many people, too often, go quickly into advancing into different movements and progressions when they haven't established the core foundation. I'm talking about dead bugs today. And I'm not talking about Raid dead bugs or the Orkin Man dead bugs. I'm talking about getting on your back and performing a movement that's going to change the way you think about your pelvis. The setup is really simple. The first progression I want to talk to you about today is just simply lying on the floor in a hook lying position. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the ground. Now, in order to establish a neutral pelvis, what I want you to do is think about blowing into a balloon. So as you blow into the balloon, you should feel your ribs go down. You should feel that engagement happen. There we go, we set that. Now, can you hold that position and breathe? That's the question. What we don't want you to do is to and hold your breath, because that's not going to benefit you. You might just pass out. From there, now we can take it and move our arms. So that's going to be the next progression. And as I move the arm, I have to maintain the integrity. Once again, I have to keep the position of those ribs and keep that brace in my abdomen as I pull the arms back and forth. Lying on your back like this, the great advantage of this is you have gravity working with you. As soon as you get on the hands and knees position, in a kneeling position or a standing position, all of a sudden now you have to fight gravity. And for a lot of people, that's tough to do. And then add a barbell on top of your back and have you squat? Come on, let's get real here. Let's get smart. Common mistake I see is people just go as fast as they can. They get mixed up with the task versus the intent. The task, it looks like, hey, I'm just moving my arms and legs, trying to keep my body still, so I'm just going to rip through it. The intent is control. Make the arms, make the legs a core-driven movement, not just arm and leg swinging. Some things that we do at Fitness Lying Down is we play with bands. So we do what's called a band core-activated dead bug, where we're lying down, we have the band anchored above us, we pull. So as soon as I pull that band down, the abs engage. They do what they need to do. Holding that position, step one. Step two, go ahead and move those legs. What I want to talk about now is something that just blew my mind, is the DVRT system, the Dynamic Variable Resistance Training System, using the Ultimate Sandbag. Surprise, surprise, I'm going to bring in Ultimate Sandbags again. The benefit of using the Ultimate Sandbag with your dead bug movements, it's to tie in the body's complete chain. When I'm just moving arms and legs, I'm kind of not engaged where I need to be up top. I've got a firm grip on the edge handles there. I pull that USB apart, and that gets a big engagement through my lat on both sides, both my lats, my upper back musculature, they're huge. So the lats, when you cue those guys in, talk about an engagement. It's basically a party. That's all it is. It's just a huge party, and you've invited more friends by bringing in the lats. So as you move into those progressions, you're going to feel now that this certain little core ab exercise is going to be a total body light up. So you're welcome in advance, because you're going to enjoy this and you're going to feel what you need to feel. So you guys know about the glute bridges, right? Well, you know, they always talk about the glute bridges as being a really great exercise to help strengthen your glutes and build up a good low back and all this stuff, but I'm going to tell you what right now. I think that the glute bridges had a big problem. They still have a big problem, but there's a solution to that problem. I know when I first was introduced to the glute bridges, I honestly thought that they were probably one of the stupidest exercises I've ever seen. I can never really fully grasp this whole, instead of lifting something off the ground, we're going to have you lie on your back and pick your butt up. It made no sense to me. It was almost insulting to tell somebody, hey, we don't want you to do this exercise, so instead of that, you're going to do this modification. Insulting. That's what it is. You top that off, like you walk into an exercise class and you see a whole bunch of people doing glute bridges together. It almost feels like this kind of shady R-rated movie that you shouldn't be watching. We instructed people incorrectly when it came to the bridges. We tell them, yeah, sure, lie on your back, hook lying position, knees are bent, feet are flat. Now, that's going to resemble your hinge as you're standing up. Now, when you extend your hips, bringing your glutes off the ground, that will be your extension. That'll be when you lift your object off the floor. Now, we're asking you to lift your hips up off the ground. We're not really telling you how to. We're just giving you that task. Make sure your butt gets up, squeeze your glutes, whatever that is. and return back and repeat as fast as you can. Go ahead. So a lot of people, when they do this, they don't get that glute engagement that they're actually looking for, and then therefore your glutes don't get strong. It's not going to carry over to your everyday life. There's nothing wrong with the glute bridge. I mean, nothing should be labeled good or bad. It's just what I found out personally is that the glute bridge was incomplete, meaning we're just using part of our body. We need to get that full engagement. We need to have full participation of the body. So enter in our favorite tool, the ultimate sandbag. Now, holding the ultimate sandbag, when we pull those handles off the side of our ultimate sandbag, that gets that lat engagement now. Now we're increasing the participation in our body. The feet are going to be very important when it comes to the glute bridge. We want to actually make footprints in the ground. So I'm gripping hard into the floor, and I'm not raising my hips up. What I'm doing is I'm pushing the floor down, pulling the ultimate sandbag apart, and as a response, my hips rise. I don't have to tell you to squeeze your glutes, because if you're properly pushing into the floor, those glutes are already squeezed, and now we're connecting chains. We're connecting upper body to lower body, making you stronger, making your movement more efficient. So why now wouldn't you want a glute bridge? But if that glute bridge is too easy, you know how we're going to change it up? We're going to have you pick up 1 foot at a time. Task versus intent. Just lift up your leg, try not to let your hips dip, and if they do, well, just get better at it. Now as I use the ultimate sandbag, I pull those handles apart, I press hard into the ground with my foot, that leg rises up as a result. This drill has become a lot more than it once was, just by the simple addition of an ultimate sandbag and all those layers that you can add on. But we don't want to be too creative where we just start programming and making it look cool. People have to earn their progressions. They have to be able to show mastery and demonstration of one level before they move to the next level. It's a great movement, no doubt. Incomplete in the beginning, but we've completed it now with the DVRT USB glute bridge. So I have a feeling that when people start an exercise program, when they're geared up to work out, a lot of their focus is because of their core. And that's a totally acceptable reason to begin, because a lot of people recognize that they have a weakness in their core. The problem doing multiple repetitions of trying to strengthen the core, what you need to do is you need to be able to connect the wires. The core is very neuromuscular. It's a brain-driven area. It's not about just getting the muscles strong. It's about connecting the wires back. A lot of the problems that we face structurally tend to be a weakness, a lack of motor control in the core. Instead of thinking about bending you out of shape, this movement here is going to bend you in shape. The half kneeling to bend movement. This little movement here is a great opportunity for you to hardwire that core. Half kneeling, so 1 knee down, 1 knee up. That's what this movement is predominantly to begin with, is a hip hinge. So as you slide those hips back, place the hand firmly on the ground. Now at the bottom, we want to make sure, for this movement in particular, that we're not rocked back. We want to be right over that hand. That left hip is going to extend, and the core is going to come with it, and before you know it, you're back up in that half kneeling position, and you're probably feeling a little bit of something. Another little thing to avoid is the push off. No need. That's actually compensating for that weak core. What's a way that we can increase the intensity without necessarily increasing the load? Maybe you're not ready for anything. Maybe you don't have anything at home. Let's take it into a half knee to elbow bend. You might be lacking some mobility. Maybe you're not able to get there. Try to find some things that'll give you a little bit of a higher point to touch, and then you can work your way down to the ground. So that's going to offer a little bit more spice to it. Okay, let's say you're there, you're having a good time. Let's make it a little bit more. Kettlebell, right? I mean, the name of this series is Kettlebells and Coffee. How about holding the kettlebell up in the hand? Now with that weight up there, it's going to be a little bit more for you to drive through the hip, drive through the core to come back into that tall position. So don't just be grabbing a kettlebell and coming down. You need to explore it a little bit. You need to own it. You need to master it before you decide to take that kettlebell into it. And I think you know I love sandbags. And I don't just love any sandbags, I love the ultimate sandbags. The DVRT people come up with these ultimate sandbags, and they go where barbells can't. Let's throw that ultimate sandbag on your shoulder now. What I enjoy about the ultimate sandbag over the kettlebell is The kettlebell, you can still get a little momentum. You can still kind of swing the bell, wave the bell to bring it up. That ultimate sandbag on your shoulder like that, it wants to pin you back down. So there is no momentum allowed here through the arm, through the upper body. Working that core, working those obliques. This is up there for me. The longer you pause at the bottom, the more magical it'll become on the way up. You're almost going to feel like you need to pay admission for this ride. Not bending you out of shape, bending you in shape. So there's one thing that I love almost as much as I love coffee. Squats. When I say that I love squats, usually the reaction I get from most people is the fact like, ooh, I don't like squats, they hurt my knees, I just don't feel comfortable underneath the bar. A lot of the squatting that you're thinking of, the fitness industry cookie-cuttered squat exercise, is really just not as practical as you think. I mean, how many other times are you going to put something on your back, lower yourself down, and rise back up? When people say they don't like the squat exercise, the squat movement, I kind of feel like we in the fitness industry may have let them down, and that's sad because people could benefit so much from various squat movements. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today is when we're squatting, a lot of us set up with our feet shoulder width apart because this is what we've been taught, this is what we've been told, it's right here in the manual. Follow the instructions, go beyond the instructions, okay? Why don't we spice things up and squat with one leg? And I know what you're thinking right now. Whoa, Corey, there's no way I could squat on one leg, that's just nuts. What if I were to tell you that you could squat on one leg without squatting on one leg while receiving the benefits of squatting on one leg? Enter the staggered stance, otherwise known as the sprinter stance. For today's purposes, we'll talk about it as the staggered stance. So as you lower yourself down, think about a rubber band that you're pulling back. So you pull yourself down to that position. You never fall into that position. You fall into that position, you lose the tension, you lose the engagement, and basically your squat movement has just become null and void. Set it down, start over. Most of you are going to reach for your barbell. Keep the barbells out of the equation. Some of you might reach for your dumbbells. Sure. Some of you might take kettlebells. You can use 2 kettlebells and you can use 1 kettlebell. And I know some of you might be asking, if I use 1 kettlebell, which side should it be on? Good question. Why not both? It would be a sad day if I talked about the staggered stance squat without referring to our ultimate sandbags. Because right here, this is where I started learning about the staggered stance squat. I didn't learn this at all while I was earning my degree in exercise and sports science. But using the DVRT system, playing with the staggered stance squat, now here we go. There's so many different varieties of ways that you can hold the ultimate sandbag while making this move happen. You could be in a front-loaded position. You can move the ultimate sandbag from a front-loaded position to a fist-loaded position. Now the implement has just become a little bit more unstable. You can throw the ultimate sandbag on top of your shoulder. Just a slight variation like that without even increasing the load, but we've increased the intensity. Core straps. If you have an ultimate sandbag, you're already ahead of the game. If you don't, go get one. Now if you have the ultimate sandbag and you don't have a core strap, you gotta get it. It's like peanut butter and jelly. They just belong together. There's different ways that you can attach that to your ultimate sandbag to really change the essence of the movement. Sure, we're squatting, but now we're getting pulled in so many different directions while holding the ultimate sandbag in so many different positions. Break free of the chains of the squat exercise. Stop working with 2 legs flat on the ground and putting unnecessary pressure on your backbone and your spine by putting a barbell on your back. Put those weights in the front-loaded position, enjoy what's going to happen to your core, and keep squatting. Squat in different patterns, explore, have fun.